What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Episode 11, Standing 8 Count podcast. We're back. Got some more top 10s to do. Actually, you got next weekend, got some a card going on too. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to get all that together. But before we start, go ahead, True, introduce yourself.
True Boxing, CRU Boxing on YouTube. Check me out.
All right, Vaughn.
Von Blues Boxing on YouTube. You already know.
All right, cool. So let's get right into it. We're going to do top 10s, featherweights, 126. True, you're going to kick it off. And just actually, if you want to start with your honorable mention, you know the drill. Go ahead and do your thing, man, on 126.
Yeah. I got you. So just going to run through the top 10 real quick here. I want to mention the guys that dropped out from the previous year. We actually had 4 guys drop out. The first one is Carl Frampton, 33 years old. He dropped out because he fully moved up to 130 pounds. So he didn't drop out because he lost or anything. He's actually ranked up there at 130, and he's in line to fight for a world title at 130 against Jamel Herring next. Opportunity to capture a championship in his third weight class. So, he was number 3 coming into the year. The next guy to drop out is Shakur Stevenson, the undefeated former featherweight champ. He ended up not defending his belt at all. He gave up his title, and in order to move up to 130 officially, he fought a couple times, got a win, and now he's going to be waiting around for the winner of Jamel Herring and Carl Frampton. So Stevenson might get a tune-up bout prior to that, but he's fighting at 130 now. Also dropping out was Jesus Rojas, former champion. He didn't fight at all. He actually hasn't fought since May of 2019. I dropped out because that's over a year and a half now since he's fought. So he's had opportunity. I like Rojas a lot. I hope he bounces back. He's a really good fighter, but he's got to fight, got to stay active. And then the last guy to drop out was former world title challenger Claudio Marrero. He went 0-2 during the year. He actually got his ass whipped against Kid Galahad early in the year in a final eliminator. Then he moved up to 130, and he actually fought really well against a young up-and-comer, Xavier Martinez. So he's kind of one of those guys on the verge of the top 10 at featherweight, but because his last fight was at 130, I got him out of it right now. So we'll jump into the top 10 now. So number 10, and breaking into the top 10, is former world title challenger Eduardo Ramirez. He's 27. He came kind of out of nowhere. He's a good, solid fighter, but he ended up in December on the Danny Garcia and Errol Spence undercard. He took on Miguel Flores and pretty much dominated Miguel Flores. Stopped him in the 5th round. Pretty impressive win. This year, he's probably going to be looking to become the mandatory challenger for the WBC belt at some point. Maybe get Gary Russell before the end of the year, or be fighting for the vacant title if Gary Russell ends up moving up in weight finally. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But pretty entertaining fighter. Had a nice win. Did Ramirez. Number 9 is Joet Gonzalez. He wasn't ranked last year either. He's a former world title challenger. He's also 27. He came into the year coming off of a one-sided decision loss to Shakur Stevenson in 2019. And, we really hadn't seen him fight anybody really good. And then in September, he got an opportunity against former 3-time world title challenger Miguel Marriaga. I thought it was going to be a good fight, and he pretty much beat up Marriaga for 12 rounds there. So, or 10 rounds. It was a 10-round fight, but he pretty much beat him up. And because of that win, and he just fought for a title recently, I ranked him, in the top 10. He's number 2 in the WBO. So he could be working his way into an eliminator of some sorts. He is with Top Rank, so he could be getting a shot at Emmanuel Navarrete some point this year for the WBO title, because they're both with Top Rank. So we'll see. Number 8 is Jesse Magdaleno. He's a former 122-pound champion. He moves up 2 spots from number 10. He's 29 now. Jesse, this was his second full year fighting at 126, and he got a win, and then he had a big opportunity to fight for the vacant WBO title and against Emmanuel Navarrete. And then he passed on the fight. He ended up taking himself out of the mix because he said they weren't paying him enough. They weren't offering him enough to get in the ring with Navarrete. So I thought that was kind of weak because he had an opportunity at a world title and it was an all top rank fight. But, we'll see. Maybe he's trying to work himself into something else. I really don't know, because he's the number 1 contender in the WBC, but Gary Russell's fighting Ray Vargas next, most likely. So I don't know what Magdaleno is trying to work himself into. There's only about 4 really solid top ranked fighters at 126, and Magdaleno's already lost to one of them in Isaac Dogbe, and the other 2 guys are Gonzalez and Navarrete for the title. So I think it'd be smart for him to take a shot at the champion Navarrete, but we'll see if he decides to do that this year. But I like Magdaleno, so I hope he works himself into a title fight or at least an eliminator. Number 7 is Isaac Dogbe. He moves up 3 spots from number. I think I had him tied for 10th last year. Or he was 9th, but he moves up. He finally made his debut at featherweight this year in I think it was July. He got a win. He's only 26, so a lot of people forget that he was a champ at 122. He hasn't really been given a lot of love yet because he was kind of in between divisions there, but Dogbe's a real comer. He wants to take the big fights. He was supposed to take on Carl Frampton in 2019, and injury pushed him out of that fight. And then last year he had Michael Conlon lined up, and an injury pushed him out of that fight, I think, to Conlon. So Dogbe is the kind of guy that doesn't really care, and he wants a big fight. So we're going to see if he can get himself into a big fight this year, maybe again a rematch with Mark Delano, maybe Joet Gonzalez to try to get in some kind of an eliminator to work himself into a title fight. Number 6 is Tugsko Nyambayard. They call him King Tug. He stays at number 6. He was number 6 coming into 2020. Nyambayard got his big chance. He took on Gary Russell Jr. in February of 2020, and he fought as hard as he could, but Gary Russell's just on another level. He completely outboxed him and outclassed him. But in the late rounds, he finally started getting to Russell and closed the fight strong. And I like that. When you're getting pretty much worked in a fight, to keep your head on your shoulders and keep going for the prize and keep trying to win at all costs. And he landed some good shots in the championship rounds and really made it a fight the last couple rounds. So not a bad performance. He came up short. That was the first loss of his career. He's number 3 in the WBC. He fought some other guy and fought him really close, but that was a late replacement in September. So I think he was kind of overlooking the guy. But Nyambayar should bounce back and get himself into some kind of an eliminator, maybe in the WBC, to try to get another title shot. So we'll see. I like him a lot, though. Good action fighter right there. Number 5 is Ken Shu, the WBA champion. He drops 1 spot from number 4. He's only 26. Ray, this guy throws over 1,000 punches a fight, man. This guy is pretty entertaining, all action fighter. He ended up not fighting, though, in 2020 because he was, COVID, but he was also trying to set up a unification fight with Josh Warrington, and it just never happened. So the Warrington fight is still on the table. But we got to see how that shakes out. But I'm hoping he comes back soon because that, like I said, the dude throws a million punches a fight and he's entertaining as shit, man. I like him a lot.
Okay.
Number 4 is the WBO champion, Emmanuel Navarrete. This guy he wasn't ranked coming into the year, but because he was at 122 pounds and was the champion there, he made a defense on the Fury Wilder rematch undercard, got a win, and then that was like his 5th successful title defense, and there wasn't a lot of options at 122, so he decided to move up to 126 when Shakur Stevenson vacated the title, and he ended up fighting Ruben Villa, knocked him down a couple times and looked like he was cruising to a knockout, and then Villa got himself back into the fight. He still ended up getting a unanimous decision and captured a championship in a 2nd weight class, and now Navarrete is a good all-action fighter, man. He's just that prototypical Mexican fighter that just comes and brings it and throws a million punches, and dude's fun to watch, man. So, I'm looking forward to seeing who he gets in the ring, whether it's Dogbe, Magdaleno, Joet Gonzalez. I'm really looking forward to it because Navarrete can bring it. I know they were talking about his number 1 contender getting a shot next, but nothing's concrete. So we'll just wait to see what happens here. But, I like Navarrete. Number 3 is Kid Galahad from the United Kingdom, a former world title challenger. Galahad came in coming off the loss to Josh Warrington, a controversial split decision loss in 2019. And he came in and he got, because it was a really close fight with Warrington, he got put straight into a final eliminator, and he took on the veteran Claudio Marrero. And to be honest, this was one of my fails in 2020 because I picked Marrero because of his experience to beat Galahad, and Galahad worked him. I mean, he absolutely dominated Marrero, stopped him in the 8th round. That was his best win. He became the mandatory challenger again for the title, and he's 30 now, but he moved up 4 spots from number 7 with that win, and now Josh Warrington's running scared from him. Warrington gave up the IBF title, and now Galahad's in line to fight for the vacant championship. That fight should be finalized against Jazza Dickens, and that pretty much looks like Galahad's on his way to his first world title. So good fighter, and he also could be signing with the PBC, which means him and Gary Russell could be locking horns second half of this year, and that is going to be a great chess match between those two southpaw boxers right there. Should be good.
Wow.
So look for that one, and then number 2, Josh Warrington. He drops 1 spot from number 1. Undefeated still, but did not fight in 2020. He had COVID. And then he was trying to get the unification bout with Shu Kan of China, and it just never happened. And he was trying to get a crowd. That's why he wanted to fight in front of a crowd. And, COVID really halted a lot of that from happening. So then it looked like he was going to get him this year. And they were close to signing a fight, but Shu Kan didn't want to fight behind closed doors. And then also the IBF, the belt that Warrington had, didn't want to recognize Shu Kan's title. So the fight just never materialized. It still is an option, but now Warrington doesn't have a belt anymore. He gave up his belt. He didn't want to fight Kid Galahad in a rematch. He was looking at Gary Russell Jr., and his promoter offered Gary Russell $1 million to fight, and Gary Russell said that was beneath him. So Warrington's a great fighter. He's undefeated, all action. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the guy's going to do next. I'm hoping he's fighting next weekend. We'll talk about him later against some stepping stone type fighter and should get the win. But we'll see. We'll see what he does, because I'm really disappointed after the way he was coming into 2020. He was the number 1 guy for me, barely, and he's just been disappointing. Hasn't been fighting that.
Wow.
And then number one is Gary Russell Jr., the WBC champion. He's been champ for 5 years. That he likes to call himself Santa Claus, Ray, because he only fights once a year. So, I don't like it. I think he's too talented and he should do better than that. But Gary Russell has a very big head, and he thinks he's very talented, but he thinks he has the same kind of name as some of the other big guys, and he just doesn't. And because he doesn't get the big name fighters, he only wants to fight once a year. So it looks like him and Ray Vargas are going to fight for the WBC title this year. And then we'll see after that, man. He's 32 now, though, and he's wasting away, only fighting once a year. I think he should be moving up in weight, going after other guys, but we'll see. Maybe he can fight twice this year finally and do everybody a favor. I would appreciate it, but we'll see, man. So that's it.
Wow. So once a year, that's kind of crazy, because you think about it, 6 fights, that he'll be 38 if he stays by that. He stays 32 now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, he's the longest reigning champion in boxing right now. He's been champ since March of 2015, but Ray, he literally has only fought once a year since then. So so it's so what? He's been champion that long, but Deontay Wilder won his heavyweight title a couple months before Gary Russell won his in the same year, 2015. And what did Wilder make? 11 title defenses or 12 on? And
he made
Gary Russell,
10 or 11.
Yeah, Gary Russell's only made 5 in that time.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
4 or 5, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, Vaughn, what about your top 10? How similar was it?
All right. Very similar. Probably like most of the same fighters, maybe just like maybe one different fighter like in the whole rankings. So for my 126-pound rankings, like I'm just gonna be quick wider. True basically briefed them pretty well and what's going on with them. So I'm just gonna go with mine's at number 10. I got the former 122-pound champion, Ray Vargas. Ray Vargas is former 122-pound champion. He's had some pretty bad injuries throughout his career. His last fight was with Tomoki Kameda. Really good fight. Really, really interesting fight. I like how Ray made those adjustments in the fight and stuff like that, got the win. So he's been out for a while, but he just moved up to 126, and he's actually the mandatory for Gary Russell. And they're both on PBC, so that fight could possibly happen. Then at number 9.
Fun one, too. Fun fight right there. That's gonna be a
fun
good one.
fight, and very interesting how, like, they, pull that off, or like how that fight goes, or like it's a very interesting fight. And at number 9, I have Eduardo Ramirez. So, like True said, Eduardo Ramirez, he stopped Miguel Flores. That was a nice, good win for him. So he's at number 9. At number 8, I got Joed Gonzalez. True told you about True. Joed Gonzalez, I got him at number 8. So Joed Gonzalez, he just, he'll keep going. 24-1, young fighter, still has plenty of opportunities. Then at number 7, I got Jesse Maldonado. Jesse Maldonado last fight, man, that was a weird fight. Him and Yefi Vincente, like, it was disqualification. It was a really weird fight, really really weird fight. Then at number 6, I got Tiscott Nyambar Yar, and so Tiscott is, Tiscott, his last fight was not. I mean, he had a tough fight last fight. You know what I'm saying? He barely beat Breda. Brady barely beat him, split decision. So we'll see what happens with the Scott and Bar. So at number 5, I got the former 122 champion Emmanuel
that big guy that knocked out Brock Lesnar. He's in the main
Emmanuel Navarrete, WBO champion. Like True said, what's his name had an opportunity to fight him. Jesse Maldonado, but he said the money was an issue. But he ended up fighting Ruben Villa, a guy I pulled to win the upset, so that was should be on my epic fails. You know what I'm saying? But he won that fight, and then at number 4 is Jucan, like True said, WBA champion. So Jucan, like True said, he had opportunities. They couldn't get it together. Then at number 3, I got IBF. I got Kid Galahad. So Kid Galahad, he's a really good, talented fighter. Gave Josh Warrington hell with his defense. I felt like he pulled it off in that fight against Josh Warrington, but that's neither here or there. But Kid Galahad also got an offer from PBC, a 4-fight deal where he would be able to get possibly in a fight with Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz, and some other guys at on the PBC, and Ray Vargas. But it's to be seen. He did get an offer. And then at number 2, I got IBF champion Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington comes back this weekend. He'll be fighting. So we'll see what's up with Josh Warrington. It's good to see him back in the ring. It's been a long time since we've seen Josh Warrington. He hasn't fought since October of 2019, where he stopped Sofane Tachuk. So we'll see. Then at number 1, Mr. Gary Russell, Mr. DC. Gary Russell, hopefully this year, Gary Russell will get into possibly a fight with Ray Vargas, or maybe a unification bout or something, or maybe even Tank Davis at 130. Like, Gary need a big fight, because he only fight once a year. So he needs a fight that's going to catch the public's imagination, and Ray Vargas could be that, or possibly if he can pursue Tank Davis at 130, since, Ryan Garcia and Tank look like they ain't finna fight, So, yeah, that's my 126-pound rankings, guys.
Okay. Yeah, it was real similar.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, very similar. Yeah.
So with 126, is it a stacked division? Do you guys think it's a stacked division, or you think it's a lot of room for guys to move around?
Go ahead, Vaughn. Go ahead. No, you go. You go. Yeah.
It's a pretty good division. There is room for guys to move around, but the problem is all the guys are just on so many different. Everybody's like on all the top guys are like on all different boxing promotions.
Right.
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
I see. Yeah,
like most of the champions are on different boxing promotions, so that's what I guess that's the difficulty with this division. Go ahead, Drew. Give your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very young division, so there's a lot of you can see a lot of potential there. But yeah, agreed. They just these guys all fight on different. It's the politics again, attacks. So
right.
Yeah. So yeah, that really is going to bring the division down. So and it kind of keeps it to where it's not one of the better divisions in boxing because of it. So yeah, but it's good. There's good fighters. It's just fighting each other is the problem.
Well, with that weight, 122 and 126, we both got to admit that's a small man. You know what I mean? So do you see guys knowing that you build muscle as you get older and stuff? Do you see guys actually staying in that division career wise, or do they bounce back and forth?
There's some little dudes, man. It happens, So these little guys do like to bang around those divisions, but they also like to move up. It just depends
130.
on if they're guys that are coming down from 118, 122, or if they're natural 126ers that want to move up to 130, 135 eventually. It
I
just
see. I
depends
see.
on where they start, kind of deal. Yeah. So.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, didn't know that. Didn't know that. So now we're gonna move on to the light heavyweights. 175, and Yvonne, that's your specialty. What's going on with light heavyweight? Is it a big division? Is it up and coming? What do you feel about light heavyweight and
Well,
what's
light heavyweight's got a lot of veterans in the
uh
division, a lot of known names, and what's good about the light heavyweight division is super competitive. It reminds me of the 154-pound division
huh?
and junior middleweights, and it's also is just there's a lot of notable guys at 175. So it's
Uh-huh.
really good name division with a lot
Okay.
of notable former champions from different weight classes. So
Okay.
yeah, 175 is definitely a fun division, and we've seen a lot of these guys get in the ring with each other too.
Okay. 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 Well, let's hear your top 10. And anybody that
All
didn't
right.
make it this year,
All
or
right, so my notables outside the top 10, I would say Gilberto Ramirez
okay.
is one of them because Gilberto really hasn't fought at 175, and he had issues with Top Rank and trying to get out of that deal and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's to be seen where Gilberto is going to do. He's with, I believe, the PBC, right, True?
No, he's actually a wide open free agent right now.
So
So
he's a
yeah.
wide open. Okay, so that's good for Gilberto in the sense that he can go sign with any group, but any major promotion. But he hasn't fought in a long time. He came back. He fought this guy Alfonso Lopez. But it took him a while. It took him almost 10 rounds to get him out of there. So I mean, it'll be seen what it's to be seen what Gilberto will do at 175. And I got Joshua Buatsi. Buatsi's a young, talented 175er coming out of the UK. Pretty good talent, pretty talented fighter. I really am high on Buatsi, but Buatsi hasn't had it. Hasn't anybody in the top 10 yet? Doesn't have that big notable fight yet, but I think he can crack it eventually. So I'm going to start off at number 10. I'm going to go with Arthur London. So Arthur London, basically on the Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce card, he ended up fighting Anthony Yard. So Anthony Yard fought Sergey Kovalev to that fight was exciting. I mean, it was really, really good fight between Sergey Kovalev and what's that called? Anthony Yard. And Kovalev stopped Yard late. Yard looked like he almost had him out of there. I think it was like the 7th or 8th round. It looked like he almost had him out of there. He had him in some trouble, but Kovalev being the veteran and being in those situations, he was able to recover, and he ended up stopping Anthony Yard with a jab. So, and Arthur London pulled out the upset, man. I was like, man, that was one of the upsets in top 15, top 20 upsets in boxing, I would say. And Arthur London basically pulled it off, controlled it with the jab, and he pulled up the upset. And he's ranked 4th in the IBF. So I don't know what's next for Arthur London. Maybe, with him being with what's that called? Being with Frank Warren, and Frank Warren being tied to Top Rank, doing televising his fights with Top Rank, maybe he can get a mandatory shot against Artur Beterbiev. Maybe he can get a fight with him. But yeah, so he's number 10. At number 9, I got Jesse Hart. So Jesse Hart is, he's been around the division for a while. He moved up. He fought at 168. He had a pretty good career at 168. And he came off a pretty close fight against Joe Smith, his last fight. A split decision that Joe Smith won. That was in January 2020. A pretty close fight, but Jesse Hart got one. He has wins over Sullivan Bonera, but he lost to Gilbert Robertos, and he also had a majority. He lost the majority decision in a rematch to Gilberto that was really close in 2018 for the WBL super middleweight. So I got Jesse Hart at number 9. It's to be seen where Jesse Hart is going to fight next, and he's also ranked 6th in the WBC. So maybe he goes the WBC route. At number 8, I have Marcus Browning. So Marcus Browning is coming off that loss, I believe, to John Pascal, and he was stopped in that fight. He hurt Pascal in that fight, but and looked like he possibly, I mean, he was giving Pascal problems, and it looked like Browning was going to get that, probably stop Pascal, and that would have been a big win for him, and helped him as a move up the ranks and stuff. So he hasn't fought in a long time, man. It's been a while. So we'll see what Marcus Browning doing. He's ranked in third in the WBC. He's with PBC, you know, as Pascal, as Badu Jack. You know, he's got some good options over there. Maybe he can get a rematch with Pascal, or maybe he could fight a Badu Jack or somebody of that nature. So yeah, we'll see what he does. We'll see what happens with Marcus Browning. At number 6, we got the, you know, former 168 champion and former 175 champion, Mr. John Pascal. Now, Pascal, we all know about John Pascal. John Pascal has fought damn near everybody from 168 to 175. I mean, this dude has fought everybody. He's 38 years old. You know what I'm saying? Still going strong. You know, at 38 years old. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's just crazy the amount of people he's fought from 168 to 175. I mean, fought Bernard Hopkins twice. Fought Chad Dawson, fought Andrew Dikau. I mean, fought Carl Froch, man. Fought who else? I mean, I can keep Sergey Kovalev twice. Fought fucking
Hey,
Eliter
Vaughn.
Alvarez. Yeah.
Vaughn, I think your mic is rubbing again. It just started right now, though, so I just want to make
Okay.
sure you get it all out.
Yeah.
Okay, but go ahead.
Fought Marcus Browning, fought Dmitry Bivol, fought Badu Jack and now his last fight was in December 2019. He fought Badu Jack to a split decision that I thought Badu Jack won, but um, what's that called? So is what's to be seen what John Pascal does, because John Pascal is the WBA regular champion and he's number 2 in the WBC. So maybe him and Badu Jack have a rematch, because I seen them talking on Instagram, you know, talking a little crap to each other and stuff. So maybe hopefully we get that fight again. That was a fun fight. And then at number 5, I have Eliter Alvarez. So Eliter Alvarez is, you know, he's been in the division for a while. Good fighter, you know, pretty good fighter. Is, I mean, type of dude. He, you know, he came on late in his career and really came alone. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I mean, he's had a pretty good career. I mean, his last fight, he was stopped by Joe Smith. I mean, Joe Smith was just. I mean, I had Eliter Alvarez. You know, I picked Eliter Alvarez to win that fight. I picked him to stop Joe Smith, and I mean, he put it on Eliter Alvarez. I mean, Joe Smith came forward and just put it on him. And so, you know, he lost that fight. Eliter Alvarez lost that fight. You know, he was having a pretty, you know, he started off 2020 pretty good. You know, he stopped Michael Stills in the 7th round, and then it just, you know, and then he also, you know, he has, you know, majority decision win over Pascal. He stopped Kovalev. So, you know, and he beat Lucien Boutour, you know, so he's, you know, Eliter Alvarez has been around for a while. So we'll see what Eliter Alvarez does, you know, what he's going to be doing. Then at number 4, I got the Crusher, Sergey Kovalev. Sergey Kovalev is ranked 5th in the WBO right now. So, you know, he could just stay in the WBO way and, you know, go that route to try to get back into the title shots and stuff like that. Now, we all know about Kovalev in his division. Kovalev was a monster, you know, in his heyday in his division. I mean, was on the pound for pound list. I mean, he was just dominating that 175, man. I mean, beat Bernard Hopkins. I mean, just, I mean, I mean, when he was at 175, I mean, when he was in his prime, he was beating everybody. I mean, he beat Eliter Alvarez. He's beat Isaac Chilemba, beat John Pascal twice, beat Bernard Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? Stop Nathan Cleverly. So, I mean, you know, we all know about Sergey, but Sergey hasn't had the past couple of years hasn't been the funnest run for him. You know, he's got his wins. He stopped Anthony Yard, but then he fought Canelo in November of 2019. He was stopped against Canelo, you know, and yeah, so I don't know what's gonna go on with Sergey. He's got some more, you know, issues outside the ring going on right now. So we'll see what happens with Sergey Kovalev. He's kind of like in limbo right now, where he's gonna kind of go in his career. I knew didn't he have a fight lined up? Yeah, he had a fight lined up with that kid Bektemir or whatever. And this kid Bektemir he's something nice, but then it got canceled because what happened? Was it somebody got COVID? Wasn't Bektemir true?
No, actually, I think he tested for some kind of banned substance.
Yeah, he
Kovalev
tested
did.
positive.
Yeah,
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 Sergey
yeah.
tested positive for a banned PED substance. So that's, you know what I'm saying? This is where, you know, Sergey's just had a really rough past couple of years of boxing. So we'll see what happens with the man. Then at number 3, I got, like, True had him in his top 5, 2020 fighters of the year, and I truly get why True Boxing had this man in his thing. I'm getting it more and more every day. And True, you was on it. and I had Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. is just like the best way I can describe this man in the boxing division, the lightweight heavyweight boxing division, is hard hat and work boots, like he does construction. He has a construction type of style of boxing. You know what I'm saying? He comes to fight and he just comes to work. He's just going to come work and he's going to get the job done. He comes forward, brings the pressure, and he just out toughs you. Got a great chin and he just brings it. And Joe Smith is coming off a pretty damn good 2020. He won a split decision against Jesse Hart. And then he stopped Eliter Alvarez in a fight that I thought most people probably had Eliter Alvarez possibly was going to win the fight. And I mean, he just put it on Eliter Alvarez, knocked him outside the ring. I was like, shit. You know what I'm saying? So, Joe Smith has been around for a while. He lost to Dimitri Bivol. He lost to Barrera. I mean, he beat Bernard Hopkins. That was tough for me, fellas. That was tough. But Ray, I want you to go on YouTube and look at that knockout. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty.
But
I'm
yeah, it's
about to
pretty
check it
hilarious.
out.
I was sad. I was sad at the time and hot, but it was hilarious. So Joe Smith is fighting Maxim Volasov. God, I'll be killing names. He's fighting this February 13th. He's fighting this Saturday coming up. He's going to be fighting for vacant WBO title. So Joe Smith could become a champion at light heavyweight. So this is a huge opportunity for him, man. So yeah, he's ranked third for me. And then at number 2, I have Dimitri Bivol. Now, Dimitri Bivol is a very, very talented light heavyweight. Very talented, man. I mean, the guy is just always, he has a rich amateur boxing history, rich amateur boxing history, medalists in all type of different boxing combats, the world combat games he won gold medals, and the European boxing championships he won gold medals, so he's got a great amateur career, 17 wins, 11 knockouts. And so his last win, he fought Gilbert Lennon Castillo. So it was just a fight to kind of stay busy. He dominated the fight, got beat Gilbert Lennon Castillo. He also beat Joe Smith and beat him convincingly and beat John Pascal convincingly. So that should tell you what type of level he is. And he is the WBA super champion. So he's the real WBA champion right now. So I'm wondering what Bivol is going to do his next step. If he fights somebody maybe in the top 5 in the WBA, or maybe does he try to go pursue a unification fight at what Artur Beterbiev after Beterbiev fights Denny's. So that it's to be seen. You know what I'm saying? What Bivol is gonna do. I mean, he's got Robert. You remember Robert Kalansniki, True?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's ranked number 1 in the WBA. So yeah, and Blake Carpello is ranked third. So yeah, so Bivol could go that way,
Easy
or
work.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that could be possibly the fights for Bivol. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't see him fighting Buatsi right now. So that's yeah. So I got Bivol at number 2, and then at number 1, the machine, the Chechnyan machine, Artur Beterbiev. Now Beterbiev is just, I mean, dude's a monster, man. Granite chin, just comes forward, puts pressure on you, has boxing skills, underrated boxing skills. He's not a one-trick pony like some people like to try to put him under. You know what I'm saying? Like some people try to just say, "Oh, he just come forward." I'm like, he's a little more than just coming forward, and you know what I'm saying, doing that. So he's just an excellent D. And his last fight was against Alexander Volzdik, and it was an excellent fight. It was both titles were on the line for a unification bout, and it was a really good fight. Volstik was giving what's the name, hell. He was giving Beterbiev hell. For a minute I was sweating. I was like, oh man, Beterbiev, you about to you gonna take this hell tonight. But he ended up stopping him in the 10th round, just body shots, and eventually broke him down. He also beat Volstik in amateurs too. So Beterbiev is the man right now. and his next fight is coming. He's gonna fight Adam Denise. I don't know when I'm gonna see. Did they reschedule it? What the day did they reschedule that fight? Did
It's
they?
March 20th.
Yeah, March 20th. Good. Yeah, true. Yeah, I was gonna say March 20th. I was just trying to look at it. Yeah, so March 20th, that fight is gonna be rescheduled. So yeah, that is my top 175 pounders.
Okay, true. What about you? You got any guys that was on the same that didn't make his list, or go ahead and dive into yours?
We were pretty damn near identical on a lot of it. I mean, it was pretty damn close. Yeah, I had Jesse Hart and Lyndon Arthur tied for 10th.
Mm-hmm.
I did keep Gilberto Ramirez in there just for now because he
Yeah.
actually has beaten Jesse Hart twice,
Yes, he
but
did. Yeah.
he's inactive. Badu Jack at number 8. Marcus Brown at number 7 because Marcus Brown has a win over Badu Jack, and then Pascal. I'm hoping Pascal and Badu Jack do the rematch. That first fight was great.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Brown at number 7. The guy's got a boatload of talent, right? He just has a lot of domestic issues, and
Mm-hmm.
I
What do
hope
you
to
mean by
see that
that?
guy come back. I think he had at least 4 uh, assault charges with his baby's moms
Oh
or
wow,
whatever.
wow.
So yeah, this
Hey.
dude needs to get his shit together outside of the ring. But if he does, that guy really has a boatload of talent, man. Good fighter.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean 5, 4, and 3. Eliter Alvarez, yeah, he's a bounce back year. Kovalev, like Vaughn said, kind of in limbo at number 4. I mean, hopefully he bounces back because Kovalev's got the name. Hopefully he can bounce back. Joe Smith, number 3. I got him beating Vlasov next week. Well, we'll do that in our predictions, but um, Joe Smith, I mean, he's that guy that people are going to want to fight because they think they can beat him, but he's a grinder, man. I mean, this guy just comes in there and tries to bully you, and that's his style. And if it works, I mean, he can be very effective. So, I'm very excited to see him win a world title next week. I hope he does. And, we'll see if Beterbiev or he wants a rematch with Dmitry Bivol because he got his ass whipped against Bivol in 2019. So we'll see. Only difference here, it's splitting hairs, but I got Bivol number 1 and Beterbiev number 2. I'm going to tell you why. Bivol Beterbiev has the best single victory
Mm-hmm.
over Votsick. Votsick was very good and he unified belts, but Beterbiev has been very inactive and over the last few years, and Bivol has beaten Sullivan Barrera. He's beaten Joe Smith. He's beaten
Was it
uh
Pascal?
yeah, he beat Pascal, and he's
Mm-hmm.
also who else did he beat in the top 10? Um,
Who
I think
else?
he has one other win over a top 10 guy
Hold on, let
or
me
a
see.
very good fighter. Yeah, but Bivol has top to bottom the better resume overall, in my opinion. Even though
Mm-hmm.
Beterbiev has the better single victory, I felt Bivol has done more against top competition, than what's his name, and they're afraid to fight him. People are lining up to fight Beterbiev. People are actually afraid to fight Bivol because he's so talented. So, but Beterbiev wants to fight Bivol, and I think this is a year at light heavyweight where these guys clean up the division and clean up their mandatories to set it up because Beterbiev has been calling Bivol out for a while. Bivol wants to fight. I think Beterbiev is going to get his mandatories out of the way this year. I think he beats Diaz in March, and then he fights his IBF mandatory, the guy from China, Fan Long Meng. I
Mm-hmm.
think he'll knock him out. And then I'm hoping it's a 3-fight year for Beterbiev, and he can get Gilberto Ramirez or maybe Bivol at the end of the year because Gilberto Ramirez has been calling out Bivol,
Yeah, he's
and
ranked
he's a
number 1
free
in the
agent now.
WBC too.
Yeah, so Ramirez kind of has his pick of who he wants to fight, but he's been calling Bivol out. So because he knows the Beterbiev fight's a long way off. So I think I think these guys both get a tune-up fight first half of the year, and then they go at each other the middle of the year, and then I'm hoping that sets up towards the end of 2021, early 22, Bivol and Beterbiev, 2 undefeated champions going at it. Maybe Joe Smith gets himself in the mix right there because he wants some revenge on Bivol if he becomes world champ. So maybe he goes after Beterbiev. The thing is light heavyweight, not a lot of that upper tier name fighters like to where you're like, oh yeah, I got to watch that guy fight. But Ray, very, very good fighters in this division,
Okay.
and veterans, a lot of veterans. It's an older division, but not in a bad way. Very competitive, and these guys bring it, man. So yeah, light heavyweight will get some love this year. You know, maybe not pay-per-view type fights, but we're definitely going to see some good fights at light heavyweight this
Well,
year.
actually, we could actually jump into my question, because that's actually what I was going to ask you guys: is what division do you wish got more love out of all the divisions? Is that lightweight for you, True, or is it another division?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. I think this year I'm probably going to lean towards light heavyweight in terms of notoriety, love, in terms of like well, no, I can't say that. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with my regular pick. It's cruiserweights, man. I don't think the cruiserweights get any love, bro.
Okay,
At
okay.
200 pounds. You know, it's a European led division, but man, the cruiserweights are great. Those guys chuck all the time. They're basically small heavyweights, and they just bring it, man. You know, so
Mhm.
I've always been an advocate of the cruiserweight division, and never understood why more of the top promoters don't go and pick those guys up, you know, or work with their promoters in Europe more to get those fights on American television, because they're usually great, great fights, bro. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm going cruiserweight.
What
So
about you, Vaughn? What about you?
Me, I would say the junior bantamweight division,
Hmm.
115.
Wow.
They got Juan Francisco Estrada, Sigrat Sorarung Vasais in that division, Roman Gonzalez Chocolatito. You got German Akajales, Kazuso Ioka, who just beat Kosei Tadaka, a really highly talented young fighter.
Wow.
You got Joshua Franco, and you got Carlos Corrales and Khalif Yafi. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
would say 115 needs to get a little more attention, man. It's some talent in that division. And a lot
Wow.
of the guys, like 3 of the dudes has been on the pound for pound list.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's big. That's
Not
big.
mine's, but
Yeah, I didn't know
on
that.
ESPN, Boxing Rec, Trans Boxing Sports, and stuff like that. Estrada, Rung Fasai, and Chocolatito all been on there before.
Sorry, guys. My son was yelling. Oh, no, but yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot of names that you named. So he was pretty much stacked down there at 115, huh?
Yeah, 115 is stat.
Okay, okay. So let's get into the news. I know you guys got some news topics you want to talk about. So who wants to start it off?
Sure, you want to go first?
nah, go ahead, Vaughn. You can do it.
All right. So the news I wanted to talk about. I was just looking at some things, and I was wondering like a couple of things I was looking at. Devin Haney is possibly going to fight Javier Fortuna.
Hmm.
And
What do you feel about that?
what I feel about that, I think that's a hell of a fight. And I think
Okay.
Javier Fortuna is one of the more slept on 135 pounders, one of the more slept on lightweights.
Wow.
I think it's a hell of a fight.
If I
and
can
it's a fight.
remember, Haney
My bad, go
was.
ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Vaughn, but if I can remember, Haney was number 2 on your list, number 3 on
Yeah,
your
he was number 3.
number 3. There you go. Okay, okay. So Fortuna. Oh. So how do you think that fight will go? If it does go, what do you think?
If they do fight, I think Haney will win, can pull it off and will win the fight. But he's gonna have to box very intelligently, and he's gonna have to be ready to throw his hands at times too. Because Fortuna got some talent, and Fortuna got some power, and he likes to bring the heat. So you know what I'm saying? Fortuna likes to bring the heat. So
Wow.
yeah, I think that's something I wanted to talk about. And one more thing. And probably one more little thing that I would want to bring up and talk about that's going on in boxing. How do you guys feel about let me see. What was I gonna talk about? I mean, how do you guys feel about women's boxing? How do you guys feel about it? Do you guys know anything about women's boxing? Are you guys into it?
I
You know,
would.
because I enjoy watching the ladies.
See, me too. I mean, I like women's soccer. I like women's boxing. I don't like WNBA. But like, yeah, boxing is. If me and True actually just talked about this, and I can answer for him slightly. It's. I remember him saying it's not his thing, but I just remember. I just seen that girl get knocked out with a 3-piece. What was that? A few weeks ago.
What was it?
I can't think of her name. Yeah, that girl didn't know it hit her, man.
Yeah, Marlon and Sparza put it on.
Yeah. So I mean, I would like to see it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't know. True, what do you feel about that?
I mean, for me, it's the lack of power, the lack of knockouts that happens in women's boxing. I think it's a lot more decisions, especially on the upper level. And I don't know. I just like to see more knockouts. I mean,
Mhm.
personally, that's just me. But was there Clarissa Shields? I think she's badass. Um, I mean, it's one of those things that I think is going to take some time to get bigger. But I think I don't know how you give women more power and knock each other out more. I don't know how
Well,
that
it's almost like,
works, but I just don't. Yeah, I don't see a lot of knockouts happen. So for me, that I'm not really that into it
well,
because of it. So.
tell me if I'm wrong. It's almost like you have to have more of a dominant fighter in women boxing to bring attention to, and then hope from there it stacks the divisions get stacked, kind of like a Ronda Rousey type thing, where some girl
Right,
gets
yeah.
in there, she's kicking ass, then she finally has her heyday, and then from that point on, women's boxing kind of builds from there. I think that's what needs to. It's weird how women's sport work. You almost have to have a dominator first, and then work
Yeah.
on the whole pool of good fighters.
I agree. I'd say women boxing needs a Ronda Rousey for real.
Yeah, yeah,
I
okay.
think that's a great point. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, True? You got any news you want to speak? I actually got one thing.
You
If
go
you
ahead, man.
okay,
Yeah.
well, I hope it's not your topic, but Leon Spinks passed away.
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh yeah, I just
for
saw that. Yeah.
for guys that don't know about Leon Spinks, what's some memorable things you guys can think of about him as a fighter?
Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, he beat Ali, man. He's one of the rare guys that has a win, over Ali. He's a heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, it was funny. I was just talking about that with the Canelo Yildirim thing. What it would do for Yildirim if he beat Canelo, and it's like he could beat him by a disqualification, and he'll have that win on his resume the rest of his career, and it won't matter. And Leon Spinks beat Muhammad Ali, man.
Wow.
That's an iconic victory right there. I mean, it really is. He's one of the three guys that are four guys that took the heavyweight title from Muhammad Ali. He lost to him in a rematch, but he's an Olympic fighter. His brother Michael went on to beat the great Larry Holmes, twice, and their name was what was it, two generations, man. Yeah, Corey Spinks became an undisputed champion
Mm-hmm.
at
Right,
welterweight.
welterweight. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Leon Spinks was the guy that started it all. It was him, then his brother Michael, then it carried down to Corey Spinks. So yeah, I mean, what can you say? Just a legend right there in itself. And you know what? Not even because of a fantastic career, but I mean, that's your career. Like I said, with Yildirim and Canelo, that's his career if Yildirim can win the fight. But
Right.
Leon Spinks beating Muhammad Ali, that was his career. That made his career right there. That was huge.
What about you, Vaughn? What memories you have of Leon Spinks?
Kind of like what you said, just being a really good fighter. He became a world champion with only 8 fights. Career wasn't the greatest, but I mean, he was able to accomplish a lot in a short period of time, and he was a cruiserweight champion too, because he was really small for the heavyweight division. He ended up winning a cruiserweight, so he was a 2-belt champion. He was a gold medalist in 1976. That 1976 Olympian boxing team was excellent. I mean, just excellent. If you go really look at that 1976 American United States boxing list, it's oof. I mean, I was like, wow, and like he said, his son, one of the family members, was able to, uh, what's that called? Was able to become a welterweight champion, and Corey Spinks unified, and I think really was they almost considered him undisputed at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they
Champion.
did. They did. It was in the
Yeah.
three belts were considered undisputed.
Yeah,
So
when him
yeah,
and Zab Judah fought. Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he definitely was an undisputed champion, so his name will always live on. His brother, like he said, beat Larry Holmes, fought Mike Tyson, had a good career self. So I think both the Spinks family and their legacy his Leon Spinks legacy will live on, and a family name will always live on.
Nice.
I think we need to always remember Leon Spinks in a positive way, and appreciate these dudes, appreciate what these men and women have done for the sport of boxing and for our entertainment. So,
Okay.
yeah, we just want to send love to his family, and yeah, that's my thoughts on Leon
Wow,
Spinks.
yeah.
Leon Spinks Panther.
All right. Well, True, what do you got on the news? On your news?
Real quick, just undisputed is the topic of my news. We got looks like confirmation May 8th that Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, the kid from Fresno, they're going to try to make history. May 8th on ESPN, undisputed 140-pound championship. So They'll have the sixth fighter in history in the last 30 years of the 4-belt era try to become an undisputed champion, and then I continue with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. That fight is close to being signed. That'll be for the undisputed heavyweight title. Right now, though, I'm a little upset because I heard that they're going back and forth over whose name is going to be first.
Yeah, I heard that goofiness.
And I'm just sickened by that. You know, it's like, who cares?
Well,
you
then,
know?
true.
I mean,
tell me who you think's name should go first.
Tyson Fury.
Okay.
It should be Fury.
Okay.
I think Fury being the undefeated champion deserves to be first for this fight, and then if Joshua beats him, then Joshua's first next.
So
fight.
are you saying Tyson's the A side?
Roughly, yes. I'd say just a tad more. And this is one of those type of fights where it's so close down the middle on that subject that you can do. Fury can be maybe have his name first, and then maybe Anthony Joshua gets announced second. You know,
right,
kind of deal. You know, I mean, and who comes out first or second? I mean, those are little petty things that we shouldn't even hear about.
Right,
you know?
right.
And the fact it worries me that the fight doesn't get made. I don't want to go that far. I'm just saying when we're hearing about them, that makes me worry.
Right.
You know, so when they're arguing over little petty ass shit and it gets out in the media like that, then that makes me worry because I really want this fight. I think it's the biggest fight of 2021. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that one up. But that is still close. That's what they're saying. It's still close to being signed. And then I was talking to Vaughn yesterday about this. I think Jermell Charlo might be having his sights set on undisputed at 154. I'm just spitballing here. I got nothing to back this up. This is just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Charlo's going to wait around to see what happens next weekend. And he might make a mandatory defense in the first half of the year, and he might go after Brian Castaño if Castaño becomes champion. And I really see the undisputed aspect of it, of boxing, like guys are really going to try to accomplish that more and more and more, and that's a great thing because it really just takes your name to another level.
Well, what do you think about that fight?
Undisputed champion.
How do you feel about that fight between Charlo and what's name?
If Charlo and Castaño would be great, man. Me and Vaughn were talking about it. Honestly, I think Charlo's got the better skill. I think if I had to pick right now, I'd say Charlo wins a decision, but it would not be easy.
Wow.
Castaño brings it, man. So yeah, it would be good fight, man. But Castaño's gonna have a chance to prove himself next Saturday, which that's on the schedule. We're gonna talk about.
I can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good news. What do you think about that?
So what he was saying. So what the first one? What did True say? What did you say, True? My bad.
It was about
Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez.
Oh yeah, Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, man. We've been waiting for this fight, and it's going to happen. So here's the opportunity. I mean, they've already made history for themselves as boxers and stuff like that. But this is legacy stuff right here. So here's a huge opportunity for Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. And then it also sets him up possibly for a fight with Teofimo Lopez. You know what I'm saying? And even makes him even more bigger. You know what I'm saying? Or one of them go up to 147 and probably fight Terrence Bud Crawford. And so, whoever wins this is going to be, 4-belt champion, probably will jump in my pound for pound list. So that's a huge fight. I can't wait for that. And then also Jermell Charlo, like Drew said, I think Jermell is going to probably just wait what happens with Cassano and Teixeira. It's going to be in Indio, California. I thought it was going to, so if it was in Texas, I was going to say, whoo, just pull up Jermell. But I think he's going to try to go for 4-belt undisputed. And I hope this becomes a trend. I hope these fighters really take that and to heart and start doing it, man, because that's legacy stuff, man. And it brings more money. They want to always talk about money. I'm like, nah, that shit brings more money when you got 4 belts and you became undisputed. Anyways, so that's my thoughts on what you said.
That's true. It's true. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts going on behind the scenes, man. So it seems like it'll be a solid year, no doubt. Seems like it'll be a solid year. But we gotta get into my second on the spot question. I keep sneaking in two on you guys, man. When we talk about boxing, what fighter do you think his heart outlasted his body? Where he should have left, but his heart wouldn't let it. His career should have ended sooner.
Sure, you get that one first.
Evander Holyfield.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved Holyfield, man, but he fought way too long, man. I mean, obviously Muhammad Ali would probably be your everybody's top pick, but if we're changing it up, yeah, Holyfield. He continued to keep fighting, and he just did not. I don't know. I mean, the heavyweight division wasn't that great, and he got in there, and he just, lost to a couple guys, and nobody was surprised. And I mean, he fought all the way till shit. I think his last title shot, he was like 48 or something like that, and it was just too much. He was past it. So that's my guy. I'd pick Holyfield.
Okay, okay. What about you, Mom?
That's a good question. Let me think. A guy who just kind of had too much heart and just kept going and should have retired earlier. Good question.
Try to think if I could think of one too. I be thinking of these questions, don't even think of an answer myself, man.
No, I'm thinking that you put
What about Hopkins? What about Hopkins? You guys feel?
No, Bernard didn't go too long. Bernard was still handling business.
How old was Bernard?
Maybe
Roy
one
Jones.
Fight too long.
Or what about Cesar Chavez Senior?
Me, Roy Jones.
Roy Jones. Okay, Roy Jones.
Yep.
Should have left.
Yeah.
Well, see, what the thing with Roy Jones though? Here's my thing with Roy Jones. It's almost like I don't feel he left too late. I felt like we remembered him being such a great, and watching his downfall hurt more than the average guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's because the guy was so dominant. And then it's so fun to watch, and then to see him it's almost like seeing Superman. It's like it went from
Doomsday came through.
Yeah, he jumped. Roy Jones literally jumped off a cliff. It felt like, you know what I mean. Versus Evander Holyfield, you can kind of see the decline. If I'm right, true. You know what I mean? Like,
true. Because we didn't see it with Roy.
Yeah, Roy just fell straight. I don't know. It's just it can go that way. But what about Cesar Chavez Senior? You guys think he left at the right time, or?
Yeah, he left at the right time.
Did he?
Chavez Senior left at the right time. Chavez Senior didn't really fight overly because, like, once he got to a certain age, he wasn't fighting the greatest competition. Now, when he was you know what I'm saying? But when he was fighting De La Hoya still and stuff like that, he was older and kind of getting up there, but he was still a top level dude. He only had one loss at that time.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So you got any comments on that, True, or we can move on to the previews for next weekend?
We can move on. Yeah.
Okay. So who's gonna handle the previews for next weekend?
I'm gonna start with the first DAZN card from the United Kingdom. Not a great one, man. So it's not must see, but if you want to check out some, one of the top fighters at featherweight, you can do it. But I'm gonna start with the undercard. There's only 2 fights. This one, I mean, it's one of those ones where this super featherweight contender, Zelfa Barrett, he's 24-1, 15 knockouts. He's taken on a blown up former 122-pound champion, Kiko Martinez. The way I look at this one, if Barrett can't dominate Kiko Martinez, then he's not going to ever get close to being a contender, because Kiko, like I said, his best days were at 122, and he was just kind of one of those transition champions. He was good. He was solid. He had a couple nice performances, but he only held on to the title for, I think, about a year before he lost it to Carl Frampton. And, he went up, got beat by Leo Santa Cruz, got dominated against Gary Russell. He's one of those, gatekeepers types, and at 130, he's way bigger, in terms of weight, and he doesn't belong there. So if Zelfa Barrett can't beat him, then Zelfa Barrett doesn't belong in the discussion. So this is kind of, it's a test to see if he can continue to move up. And then the main event's Josh Warrington against Mauricio Lara. This is kind of a just come back, shake off some rust fight for Josh Warrington. He's my number 2 featherweight. He's undefeated, former champion. He's going to shake off some rust here and hopefully move forward towards a bigger fight. First I got Zelfa Barrett beating Kiko, stopping him, or decision. And I got Josh Warrington either stopping this guy, Mauricio Lara, middle, later rounds, or getting a one-sided decision. Like I said, not great action, not a great card, but decent enough. That's going to be on DAZN from the United Kingdom, so you'll probably catch that middle of the day. Maybe the main event will float around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. So go ahead, Vaughn. You got ESPN, man.
All righty. So the ESPN card is on February 13th as Saturday. So it'll be on Saturday on ESPN. I think it's on ESPN Plus. So we got In the main event, we got Joe Smith versus Maxim Volosov, and for the vacant WBO light heavyweight title. And then we also got in the co-main event, one of my fights on that I'm telling people not to sleep on. I'm gonna make a video about it. Is Richard Comey versus Jackson Marinas. And then I think Carlos Adamans supposed to fight somebody. He's returning. Carlos Adamans is returning. And we also got Adam Lopez versus Jason Sanchez. I'm just talking about the fights that's more notable. And then we got Jared Anderson versus Kingsley I bet. So let me get started on this. So the first fight we got Jared, the real big baby Anderson. So Jared Anderson is a pretty good American, probably the best American heavyweight prospect we had in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the U.S. Olympian team. He had a good amateur career. He's from Toledo, Ohio. You know, Ohio's got a pretty rich tradition in boxing lately. You know, Adrian Broner, Robert Easter, you know, some of those guys that came out of the Mayweather camp are from Ohio. So Ohio's got a pretty good, you know, the past 10 years, Ohio been coming through in the sport of boxing. And he's fighting Kingsley Abed. So Kingsley Abed, he's only had 5 fights, hasn't fought too many fights. You know what I'm saying? He has been around the sport. He's only had 5 fights and he's fighting Jared Anderson. So this is a pretty good fight right here. You know, him fighting Jared Anderson. And the thing is with Jared Anderson is his last fight, he fought Kingsley Abed fought Guido Valinello. Guido Valinello is another Italian uh, Olympian, and he's also a top ranked prospect. And they fought, and Guido Valinello was supposed to win that fight, you know what I'm saying, impressively, and he struggled. He struggled badly. You know what I'm saying? He almost lost the damn fight, but
Uh,
he ended up giving it to him. So Jared Anderson's fighting him. So it's a pretty good, nice little step up at this early point in Jared Anderson's career for, you know, him to fight somebody like Kingsley. I bet. So it's gonna be a pretty good fight. Check that one out. I think that's gonna be one of the more notable fights on there. And then we got a fight I'm excited about: Adam Lopez versus Jason Sanchez. Now, Jason Sanchez fought Oscar Valdez, I think about like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and he lost to Oscar Valdez, who's going to be fighting Miguel Burchett at 130 pounds. Um, and you know, for the WBC title, they'll be fighting each other. And Jason Sanchez in that fight, he fought. I mean, he had some moments, but you know, he lost pretty clear cut. You know, What's kind of controlled and dominated that fight. So, and here's his opportunity to fight Adam Lopez, who's a more, you know, another step up for him. Adam Lopez has been around for a while. You know what I'm saying? He had a really exciting fight, and he lost to Oscar Valdez. In that fight, you know, he was stopped, but he knocked down Oscar Valdez, and he was giving Oscar Valdez problems, man. He was giving Oscar some problems, and it looked like he could have pulled it out, but he just ran kind of out of steam, and Oscar caught him with some good shots, and he got him out of there. So, and then he's coming off another win where his last fight, where wasn't the best, you know. He didn't look as good as he usually does. So, and Adam Lopez also lost to Steve Fulton too in a close fight. The current 122-pound bantamweight super bantamweight champion. So yeah, so this is a fight for Adam Lopez to just go in there, get another win, keep moving, keep trucking, keep trying to get back to get in to title contention. Then we got Carlos Adames. I don't know who he's fighting. I don't. They haven't, like, I don't even know if he's even going to be fighting on this card. They haven't even announced or nothing. I've been checking and looking and
oh
everything.
wow.
So Carlos Adames, his last fight, he fought for the WBO Super Junior Middleweight title, and he lost to Patrick Teixeira in a pretty damn exciting, good fight. He lost to Patrick Teixeira late in the round. He gave, you know, and so it was a fight, you know, to get him back in. You know, he's supposed to be fighting somebody to get him back and get him going, get him back in the win column, and get him going and see where he's going to go, you know, in the junior middleweight division. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's there. And then for the co-main event, we got former
Okay.
IBF champion Richard
Yeah.
Comey, and then we got
Yeah.
versus Jackson Marinas. So
Okay.
Jackson Marinas is coming off a controversial decision loss to Rolly Romero. Pretty known Mayweather fight. Kid talks a lot. It talks a lot. It's called out Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, Devin Haney. He's called out all the big names at 135, except for Teofimo. He's really cool with Teofimo Lopez. They're like buddies. So he's going to be fighting Richard Comey in a fight that I think is a way bigger step up than Rolly Romero rematch. This is actually a bigger opportunity for him. And Jackson Marinas is coming off that loss. Last time he fought, he lost to Teofimo Lopez. He was stopped, knocked out in the second round. And this is not. I mean, for Richard Comey to come back, this ain't the easiest fight for him to come back. You know what I'm saying? And Jackson Marinas is ranked 6 in the WBA. Richard Comey is ranked 6 in the WBC. So we'll see what happens. This is a really good ass fight. You know what I'm saying? Because if Comey wins, he gets himself kind of back into title contention. And if Jackson Marinas wins, he's definitely closer to title contention and definitely is going to make some noise in his division. And people really would start to be like, okay, Jackson Marinas is really, really real. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's going to be a really interesting fight. How that, styles are going to play out. Marinas is a boxer, likes to use movement and angles and, he likes to stay on the balls of his feet and stuff like that and avoid punches. And, his game is to hit and not be hit. That's why Jackson Marinas fight. And Comey, who's more of a boxer type of puncher, come forward type of, he comes forward, but he boxes and punches. And Comey's is a very powerful puncher. So we'll see if Jackson Marinas can take them punches off of Comey. It's going to be a very interesting fight. And then in the main event, we got Joe Smith Jr. and Maxim Volosov. So and it is for the vacant WBO light heavyweight title. And we know Joe Smith won that opportunity to fight for that title after he defeated Eliter Alvarez, stopped him. Beautiful win. Now, Maxim Volosov has been around. He spent most of his career at cruiserweight. You know what I'm saying? The only notable win he has on his resume is Ismail Salak in 2006. He stopped him. You know what I'm saying? He lost to Gilberto Ramirez in 2015. I remember watching that fight. Lost pretty convincingly. Gilberto Ramirez beat him. And his last outing was 2 years ago. Almost 3 years ago. He fought in 2018 and he lost to Krzysztof Glowacki. Lost in unanimous decision. So I don't know how he got. I mean, I know he's ranked in the WBO, so he got a title shot and he was there for the vacant title. And he's ranked 3rd in the WBA. So we'll see what happens in this fight. It's an opportunity for him to win a title, and it's definitely an opportunity for Joe Smith Jr. to win the title. So yeah, pretty damn good card from Top Rank. Pretty damn good card. So
nice. And this is this weekend also, right? Coming up or not? Or
this weekend?
Week.
The 13th.
February 13th.
Yeah.
Yep. I believe I believe it comes on at 7:00 Western time, our time.
Okay. So we got another DAZN card also, right? True.
Yeah. Just real quick on that card. The Anderson should be fun to watch. Heavyweight on the rise like him, got a lot of power. I think he gets a knockout. The other guys on the card, let me see. Jason Sanchez and Adam Lopez should be fun. That should be a good back and forth all action fight. Could steal the card. It's got that potential. I do like the matchup with Comey and Jackson Marinas. I got Comey winning that fight, but Jackson Marinas, the way he fought last time, you never know. He could pull this one out. And then the main event, I mean, I'm hoping this is Joe Smith's moment to capture a world title because he's there and he's got big fights ahead of him. And it's a good matchup, and we'll see how he does. But on to the biggest card of the day is on DAZN. And it's sad that those two cards are going to compete against each other because they're pretty damn good.
I'll be watching both at the same time.
Yeah, I'll be flipping back and forth too. But Oscar Negret and Ronnie Rios on the undercard. That should be a good little scrap right there, man. Ronnie Rios, veteran, former world title challenger. So is Negret, but Rios been around longer, fought the better competition. A couple years ago, about a year and a half ago, he knocked out Diego De La Hoya, and with a body shot. He been trying to get into a world title fight with Brandon Figueroa, and this one, he's coming in. I think he's gonna beat Negret. I think he could stop him late, or it's gonna be a decision. But it should be a pretty competitive and fun fight. A lot of punches getting thrown here. These are 122 pounders, so it should be good. Jason Quigley and Shane Mosley Jr. are fighting on the undercard too. That's a middleweight fight. That's one of those ones, give or take. You can watch it, you cannot. Jason Quigley only one loss. Shane Mosley Jr. He's not his dad. To say that. And but it's not a bad one. These are like 225 top 30 middleweights, and it's decent names on the undercard. But the co-main, probably the best matchup of the day. Patrick Teixeira and Brian Castano for the
Yes,
WBO
Lord.
title at 154. That's going to be a great fight. You got two guys that, like to fight, like to throw a lot of punches. Teixeira, big puncher, can hit hard. Castano's got good power. He comes forward. Just going to be a fun fight right here. It really could go either way. I got Castano in that one winning, but I really do think Teixeira is a very live, if you want to call it a world champion and underdog, he's a very live underdog in this fight. Should be good, going to be fun. People really don't want to miss this one because the winner, if it's Castano, it could lead to an undisputed title fight at 154 with Jamel Charlo later in the year. And if it's Teixeira, you never know. He can move up to middle after that, where there's more fighters because he's a Golden Boy guy. More options for him. He could stay at 154 and invite up welterweight. I know Terrence Crawford had talked about moving up and fighting him at some point. So, this is Teixeira's moment to prove how good he really is. He got knocked out against Curtis Stevens in an upset a few years ago, and that kind of derailed his career when he was a hot guy on the rise, hot prospect on the rise. And then now he came in and upset Carlos Adames, and when nobody, not a lot of people thought he was going to win. And he got the win, and he became world champ. And Castano, he's kind of flown under the radar, and then he fought Erislandy Lara to a draw in 2019, and that was kind of like a win for him because nobody thought he was going to be in the fight against Lara, and this is a big fight for both these guys, so I'm looking forward to it. And then the main event, man, is going to be really good. Really good. It's Joseph Diaz Jr. against Shavkat Rakimov, mandatory title fight at 130. Diaz is a very good boxer puncher. Can really get in there and box. Young fighter, and you got Shavkat Rakimov is a don't sleep on him type fighter. He is undefeated, good Russian amateur, can bring the fight. And it's gonna be a good fight right here. It's a mandatory title fight. Jojo Diaz wants to hold on to that belt and set up bigger fights later on. He's one of those kind of flashy type fighters that can really sell for Golden Boy. There's one of their studs, and Shavkat Rakimov's coming to knock him off his pedestal though. So this is not a fight that Jojo needs to sleep on. It's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good action fight. But I got Diaz winning a hard fought decision, but I think he'll get it. But again, I could see what's his name pulling off the upset here for sure. So good action, man. Good action taking place on February 13th. So
wow. So it's gonna be a busy weekend, man. Vaughn, any comments on that card?
Yeah, so it's a pretty damn good card, man. Like Drew said, it's a very exciting card. There's some good fights on there. And my thoughts on there, like I don't want to give none of my predictions yet because make that video.
Right.
But there's some good fights. I'm really excited about the Ronnie Rios and Oscar Negrete. That fight is going to be very, very exciting, very all out action fight. Cause still the night of card. And then True, I've been talking about this fight forever. Patrick Teixeira and Brian Castano. I just love the fight. Argentina versus Brazil. Castano, talented fighter. Patrick Teixeira, good, nice 154. Got the upset against Carlos Adames. I didn't think he was going to win. I had Carlos winning that fight. I was like, Carlos going to pull it off. But yeah, so that's a big fight. And then, like True said, Jojo needs to bring his A game. He cannot sleep on this dude, Rock. How you say his name? His last name? Rakhimov or something?
Rakimov.
Rakimov.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Diaz needs not to sleep on Rakimov. He needs to come with his A game because this could be one of these fights. If he, has a little night off or he ain't as, crisp or sharp, he could lose. He could lose this fight. So this is a good ass card, man. Like this 13th is, man. Whew, I was just like, come on. I was just like, wow. So yeah, a lot of good fights, a lot of good cards. That DAZN, Josh Warrington one, that one is on in the morning, fellas, so you can catch that one at 11. And ESPN Plus, if you got that, and you got DAZN, just be going, flicking back and forth.
All right. Well, yeah. So busy weekend, following weekend. Make sure you guys check in. We'll be in the group chat talking during the whole thing, right? True. I'm sure you'll start it off with the with the group chat and get everybody going. But yeah, it was a good episode, man. It was episode 11. Anything else you guys want to point out? Or are we pretty much good?
Anything
I think
else?
we're good, man. Yeah.
What about you,
Let
Vi?
me see. I wanted to hold on. What did I? Because I seen something about a fight that got announced. Hold on, let me see. I'll be forgetting. I was trying to remember. I be forgetting stuff.
It's all
My memory, short-term memory is
I'm the same way,
terrible.
man. I'm the same way. Who you guys got winning the Super Bowl before we get up off of here, man?
Chiefs.
Chiefs. What about you, True?
I think the Chiefs too, but I told you before, Jacob's got $950 on the line.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I can't, as a Raider fan, I can't in good conscience say I'm rooting for either team, bro.
Okay.
But I would favor the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs and Mahomes are the better team. But hey, Tom Brady, man. I mean, what can you say about that guy? That dude is just amazing, man. That he playing at that level. So we'll see. Should be a good game. I'm hoping for a good game, man. That's what
I'm hoping my squares hit. I'm hoping my squares hit. But Vaughn, you remember what you were saying?
I remember what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
I thought about it. I'm like, nah, it's cool.
You go.
True already know. No, True already know. He up on game.
Okay. Well, just so y'all know, my
number. No. You know what? Hold on.
Go ahead.
I just thought about it. True. You know what's another good fight, and it's going to be on NBC Sports Network. Alberto Machado versus Hector Harana. Oh my God!
When is that one?
It's on March 18th. It's gonna be at 6 p.m. It's gonna be on NBC Sports. That's a good one. Nice little lightweight fight right there.
Okay. So look out for that one.
Look out for that one.
Yeah, for sure though. But yeah, I got numbers 1-7 and 1-9, fellas. So I think I'm winning. for the Super Bowl for my squares, man. just so we know. All right, fellas, y'all take care, man. Episode 11. Actually, hold on. Outro, Vaughn, real quick.
Yeah.
Your outro.
Oh, outro. Oh, Vaughn Blues Boxing, man. Y'all know what's up.
Yeah. True.
True Boxing.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a good Super Bowl. Video should be up soon. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, man.